Hey everybody, we are back today, day 16 of Mass Make March 2023, hosted by Cindy at Studio Lou. Hopefully you guys will check her out. And if you're following along creating with this challenge, hopefully you are tagging Mass Make March 2023 on anything you're posting on social media. And I hope you guys are, because I do enjoy seeing what other people create. And so I hope that if you're playing along with this challenge, you're adding this hashtag so I can see what you're making. So postcards is today's prompt. And as I mentioned yesterday, my initial thought was, okay, postcards. I like postcards. I have postcards. But then I got to thinking that Cindy's thought process when making this prompt was probably that we would make our own postcards. So I kind of had to back up and regroup. Really didn't have to back up and regroup. I just really had to give it some thought. I don't typically make postcards. I consider them journal cards, but you know, they don't have the little fancy postcard on the back or the little stamp or anything like that. So I've had to kind of, like I said, really give this some thought. If you've watched Cindy's video, you saw how she made postcards by using, basically going through this fabulous magazine that she had. It's a Canadian magazine, I do believe, and full of beautiful, beautiful images. And you know, it's one of those things you think of, oh, I've got plenty of images, I've got plenty of books, plenty of magazines. But then when you sit down and try to come up with something in the realm of like what Cindy did, she just sat down with her magazine and went through page and tore it out and made a postcard and tore it out and made a postcard. Because she had a good magazine to do that. Not all magazines are created equal. So I am not blessed with such a wonderful stash of a magazine like that. So I do have some images from a book. I cut up a big science book the other day, and so I do have some images from a book that I plan to make postcards with on these cards, this cardstock paper. I don't have the fancy stamps to stamp postcard. I could add a stamp because I have a whole stash of stamps, but essentially we're going to make postcards that are really and truly going to be like journal cards. But we're going to call them postcards because essentially I guess you could put a stamp on it, write somebody's name on it, and put it in the mail. So we're going to do that with these handful, and then I have some actual postcards. Well, these are, you know, they're not vintage, but they look vintage. But they're cards. They're postcards, per se. They're kind of different because they've got the stamp up here and the lines down here. But anyways, I'm going to take these few vintage-looking postcards. This one's a real postcard. Well, per se. A really old vintage postcard. Doesn't have a date on it or anything like that. But anyways, out of this stack, I'm going to make tags. You know, cut them, add a little eyelet, and all that good stuff. So, I think that's what I want to start with. Is, again, essentially going to make tags out of these. I don't ever know that I'll have a need for York, Pennsylvania courthouse. But, who knows? Maybe if I turn it into a tag, then I'll have a better use for it or something. I don't know. And I don't typically... I wonder which kind of eyelet. These are the eyelets I plan to use. I think a little hole is going to be what I need. Yep. Okay. I don't typically do eyelets on my tags. I don't typically get all that fancy. But I thought we would this time. Ooh, that's awfully tiny. Let's just see. We're experimenting with, maybe nobody will get the York, Pennsylvania post office because he may go in the trash when I'm done with him. Yeah, that's the right size. And that's a little eyelet. It's teeny tiny though. My thought process was to use this stuff, but I may have to go thinner now that I think about it. Let's see if I have thinner. And that'll work. Yeah, so again, I'm just gonna kind of make some tags out of these postcards. And that's gonna be what we'll do with postcard prompt. Again, I use postcards in my journals. I honestly thought, you know, maybe I'll just do a little video and flip through the cool postcards I have. But then you guys would get all jealous because I have cool postcards. So I opted not to do that. You guys all know the trick to making your tags even. Is to snip a corner, then flip it over, and snip, you know, use it as your guide for the next corner. That'll get you even on both sides. Otherwise, you'll sit and snip and snip and snip and snip and snip and snip and trying to make it all even. And it won't always work. So, I'm trying to decide if there's a better way to do this, assembly line way. Is it better to do them one by one and add the tag? Or is it better to cut them all and then hold them all? What do you think? I think we'll cut them all. And some of these cards, I got them, this set here I got from, probably ordered them from online, from like Temu maybe. And some of them are a little, they're off center. The images are off center, so it's not my cutting that's off center, it's the image that's off center. But, you know, what can you do? Yeah, we're going to cut them all, then hold them all, and then go from there. My plan was, leading up to this, was going to watch a couple of videos to see what others do with postcards. There's not that many people that are tagging the Mass Make March. But I'm sure there's a gazillion videos on YouTube. If you just search postcards and junk journaling or whatever, I'm sure you could find it. Something. But I didn't get a chance to do that, so just kind of got to go with what we got. Okay, and my apologies for being so clunky with this crocodile thing. It's my hand, it's too heavy and too big for my hand to use it comfortably. So I'm a little bulky with it. So if you're looking at me, I've had it forever, but if you're watching me thinking, my Lord, she must be new to this guy, but he hurts my hands to use, really, to be honest. Because he's so big and so wide, to grip my hands around him really good. Okay, everybody's got a hole. And so then let's everybody get a, I wonder if my, I wonder if that's better for these little guys. And I am not at all concerned whether this is gold or bronze or silver or anything of that nature. Oh, see, I'm so clunky with this thing. But it's because it's so big, I can't really grip it. And honestly, if you don't pay attention while using it, like sometimes I'll be using, so there's a hole punch here and here, a small one and a large one. I don't know if you can see that. And then this is your eyelet pincher, is what I call it. And you can adjust the size and all that. But sometimes I'll be poking a hole with this, and I'll just be coming down, poking holes, and I've got paper below it, and I'm just poking a hole as well because it works at the same time. And that's very frustrating to me. But it happens. It happens to me more than it needs to happen to me. But what can you do? What can you do other than pay attention when you're using it, Shell? So that's another reason why I'm kind of clunky with it, is because I'm paying attention to how I use it. But goodness, if you use it too often and too much at a time, it starts to hurt your hand a little bit. It's a good tool, don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining. It's just not the best for my hand. And I don't know why it's being weird like this right now. Well, I'm having some technical difficulties. Okay, we're just going to keep going with it. Thankfully, we only have a few more to go. It's probably going to, again, it's so bulky for me to use that I'm probably doing something wrong with it. What is going on? It's like the don't think it has a lock on it. If it does, I am not aware of it. Okay, well, again, we're just gonna go move right along with it. Use it for the next 3 that we need, and I'll set it aside and I'll tackle its issues later. Because I don't know what the issue is. But let me just get these couple done, and we'll leave it be. It's because I was bragging on how good a tool it is, and now it's gonna start being all wonky. Like I said, I don't think it has a lock on it. I've never locked it before. I kind of feel like it's locking up on me though. Again, I was bragging on it, so it started being all wonky. Okay, so now let's see what our options are. Well, hopefully my big head's not all up in your video here. I'm looking for, I've got my box of goods. One of them. Just looking for my black thread or string, but I don't have it. So I have some of this, which might be kind of cool. Let's see what this is. This is some vintage string that my daughter saved for me. My whole family, they're so cute. They always see stuff now. They're like, ooh, I saw this, you can use it in your journal. And so they're saving stuff for me, which is a great thing, as you know. I think this one I'm gonna just, I don't know what kind of string this is. Or how well it ties, so this may not work. It's really stiff. Almost like it feels like it has wire in it or something, but I don't think it does. Oh, no, that's not gonna work. Dang it. Okay, we'll have to figure that out for something else. In the meantime, we have this. Let's see how well this ties. We'll see. I would typically, you know, like do the ends and do a little knot. You know how you do what I'm talking about doing. I would typically do that, but since my little hole is so small, I'm doing it like a tag instead of like a ribbon tag. And that'll be okay. Yeah, that'll be okay. A little odd, but it's okay. We're working with odd. We're making it happen. Excuse me. It is storming here. I don't know if you can hear the rain and the thunderstorming. I want a longer piece than that. So hopefully I don't lose power. I don't typically when it storms, but you know, who knows? this is the thinner. I can't decide which is thinner or which is thicker. I've got a couple of different things of this rope. And I call it rope. It's twine or jute or something like that, but got a couple different thicknesses of it. So we're turning these postcards into tags, and then we'll turn the other images into postcards. I have an idea for tomorrow is Rolodex cards, and I've seen so many people do so many neat things with Rolodex cards. I have never dealt with Rolodex cards, but the other day when I was thrifting in a bag of junk that I got, there was a stack of old Rolodex cards, and they're old because you could tell they've been thumbed through 1,001 times. And so I have them. It's A through Z, I do believe. So I was trying to decide if I wanted to do a little collage on them, on each one, you know, like a collage about the letter A with A stuff on A and B stuff on B, and, you know. But I haven't 100% decided, because that would require me to find stuff to collage on. And it has to be stuff to collage with. It has to be little stuff to go on these little bitty Rolodex cards. And I don't know how much little stuff I have around here. I'm in the middle of transitioning my workspace. I think I've mentioned it before about how I'm sitting at my kitchen counter right now. And I've decided what all I've got to do in my workspace. And that's what I plan to do this weekend. And so I have a sneaky feeling that when I get in there and start going through stuff and cleaning out stuff and rearranging stuff, I'm going to find a lot of stuff that I, A, can use, B, forgot about, C, wish I had remembered with previous journals. And so yeah, it should be an interesting weekend. It's supposed to be cold here. I think the high on Sunday is like maybe 40 is what they were saying. And so I'm just gonna hang out inside, and I've got my space, my creative space is kind of in my living room. The way my apartment is, I have a really long living room. And so I have half of that as my creative space, and the other half is a living room. And when I moved in here a couple years ago, I didn't have as much stuff. And my creative space was set up to do collage. Because collage is was my main art form for a really long time. And so my space was set up for me to do collage, and I had about this much room. Not really, but I just needed about this much room to do collage. And so I have since expanded to my needs, as you know, as you see how I pull this from here and pull that from there. And so I've decided I need to redo my space and not move out the collage stuff, because I still do collage with my junk journals, but revamp my space in order for me to more effectively work on journals. So, all that to say, this creative space up here, I have a bookcase that is filled with books, my reading books. And in the in my spare bedroom, I have quite a few books, reading books, quite a few bookshelves set up for reading. But I also have one bookshelf that is my junk journal books, like books that I can chop up and do whatever I want to with. And so in my creative space, I have one bookcase full of books that are reading books. And in my library spare bedroom, I have one bookcase that's full of junk journal stuff. So essentially, I need to take my reading books from my creative space, move it back to my spare bedroom, and vice versa. And that all sounds so super easy, but if any of you have a creative space like anywhere near mine with stuff everywhere and everything has its place and everything is situated where it's supposed to be and all this and that, it's not a matter of just moving this bookshelf here and moving that bookshelf there. It's not that easy. So it'll be a bit of an upheaval, but I think it's gonna, in the long run, be better. Because, and now that I'm saying this, I told my bestie I was gonna send her a Snapchat and go over what my plans were so she could tell me how crazy that is or if it would work or what she thought. Anyways, it's going to be a bit of an undertaking because I'm going to clean and destash and reorganize and do all that. And so that's my plans this weekend. And I think in the long run it will be better because I'll be able to, first off, know what I have. I know a lot of what I have, but sometimes I forget about things. And I'll have a better workspace to be able to more efficiently tackle my journals. I mean, I initially planned to do nothing but work on journals this weekend because, again, the weather and all this and that. But I think it would be best if I spend this weekend and get cleaned and organized. And then I'll be good to go for future weekends to just create in my clean and organized space. That's my plans anyways. We'll see how well they work. We shall see. Again, I don't have, if you watched Cindy's video for today, I don't have the fancy stamps that say postcard and all that. I love stamps, the rubber stamps, and oh goodness, I love playing with them, but I limit myself because they're so expensive. So I limit myself as to which ones I really want and would really use and would be really generic, and I could use them in more ways than one. Some people aren't like that with stamps, but I am. I don't want to, I mean, I guess if you were card making or whatever, then you would use the stamps over and over again, like a happy birthday or happy anniversary or something like that. But I don't have those kind of stamps because I would never use them. And if I use them, I would probably only use them once. And since they are so expensive, I try to limit myself to just getting ones that are generic, that I can use in other ways. So So I don't have postcard stamps, I guess is what I'm saying. You know, the little stamps that say postcard. I have plenty of stamps. Used stamps and unused stamps. I mean, like postage stamps. So I mean, I could decorate if I had a postcard stamp. So we are just making these postcards that are essentially going to be journal cards. And that's okay. And then we made tags. So we made use of the word postcard, the postcard prompt. We made good use of it, I think. Okay. Lid on the glue. Trash out of the way. Glue book aside. So, there we have it. 4 postcard prompt. We created 1. Oh, do I want a corner around these? 2, 3. This one's kind of long. 4, 5, 6 of these postcards. And then for the tags, we used an actual, the authentic postcard. Made that guy. And then we used some of these printed postcards. And made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 of those guys. So 9 and 6 is 15. So yeah, not too shabby to play around with postcards for day 16, Mass Make March 2023. Again, tomorrow we'll be doing Rolodex cards. I'm gonna have to play around with a couple ideas for that. It's almost my bedtime tonight, so I'm gonna try not to stay up late and prepare and plan for tomorrow's prompt. But that's all I have for tonight for postcards, and we will be back tomorrow with Rolodex cards. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.